baby is adorable. You want to catch all of these cute newborn moments with pictures, but yours likely never end up looking anything like the professionals. I wanted expert tips, so I sat down with Michelle Brewster. She's been a newborn photographer for over 15 years, and she had so much good information to share. You're going to like this. What is cuter than an adorable baby picture? But how do you take these pictures safely? And how do you come close to having a well-lit, well-posed, professional-looking picture? Michelle Brewster was the perfect person to answer these questions. Not only has she been a newborn photographer for over 15 years, she actually invented a product that helps to make it easier to take pictures of newborns. It's called the Swaddle Pro. It was originally intended for other newborn photographers, but when COVID hit, suddenly new parents who wanted to take pictures of their babies found this product to be so helpful. When I started talking to Michelle, I started out by asking if people needed a fancy camera when they were taking pictures of their babies, or if they could use their phone. And this is what she said.
They don't have to have the best skills, the best camera. I mean, you can do it with your phone and be able to capture memories that you are absolutely still going to be able to look back on and be thrilled that you have that moment documented.
Right. The babies are only that little for such a short amount of time. So you don't want to miss it.
And when you have a newborn, you would be surprised within 2 to 3 weeks when they hit that growth spurt, their little features start changing. Their face fills out. They get the little rolls and, you know, their like baby acne starts, or their little peach fuzz on their shoulders already starts falling out. And it's just those little things that you don't think of in the moment, but when it's over, you wish that you had documented.
So maybe to start there, when do you think is like the ideal time? Like if people's plan is that they're not waiting till they can get a time with a photographer, they're going to like attempt to do this themselves. What is there like a perfect age?
Yes, and it will vary if you're doing it yourself. So typically, if you're working with a professional photographer, you do want the baby to be 2 weeks old or younger for newborn pictures. But that is because that newborn photographer is going to be doing some like pretzel poses and like really cute little like poses that they need to be out cold for.
Right.
When you're doing it yourself, you're still just recovering from something pretty major, right?
Right.
So you want to then just take into account the way that you feel and what you're capable of doing, right? So first tip is you don't have to accomplish all of these newborn pictures during one sitting, essentially, right? When you're doing it yourself, your baby's with you all the time. So you can take a picture one day and then relax and have some time with the baby. And then tomorrow, do another one. You don't have to squeeze it all in to one chunk of time.
Right. That overwhelm of like this afternoon, we're going to take newborn pictures. That probably is too much. So do it little by little.
With using the Swaddle Pro or doing less of those like complicated poses, you don't have to have the baby 2 weeks old. You know, the baby can be closer to a month or closer to, you know, I've successfully here in my studio captured babies all the way up to 2 months old with full on like newborn session poses using the swaddle or using blankets to be able to pose the baby wrapped versus trying to do unwrapped. Because I will say that once they do hit that first growth spurt, you know, their little bellies just need more milk during the day. So they're more alert. They're not having this longer stretch of sleepiness. And so if they're unwrapped, they tend to have, you know, the startle reflex a lot, or they have those little moments where, you know, they don't have control of their arms and their hands. So you've got these weird kind of like
spastic going on. Right.
So wrapping is going to be the best way to be able to accomplish it.
So they want to utilize, I talk a lot about how to wake up your newborn to eat and how important that is. But while you can't wake them up, it's a great time to take their picture.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So what's your next tip?
So safety is my next tip and probably my most important tip. So with newborns, you know, we have newborn photographers have formal training so that we know what babies' bodies are capable of, what you need to be aware of when you're posing a baby's, because again, if they're having an active dream or they have the startle reflex, even though they seem like they're completely asleep one second, they can roll out of a little prop very, very easily the next. So I definitely want to I've got a little medical grade newborn doll, so I'll show you a couple of tips that you need to be aware of. But just know that you don't want to move your baby's body in a way that you feel like is in a way like a forceful way. Like obviously when they're in your belly, they're already being folded and twisted. Right. And so, you know, you don't have to be so worried to like scrunch their legs up or put their hands in a position. Like you don't have to worry about that, but you do have to worry about head and neck control for sure. Because that's the part that even when a baby is wrapped, their neck is not wrapped, you know, their head is not as being assisted by a blanket or anything like that. So that's a piece that you have to be careful of. So I brought my little newborn posing doll here. I call her Stella because I always wanted to have a little girl named Stella and I never got
I was just going to ask if she had a name. Okay, Stella. Yeah. Love her.
So this is a medical grade doll that they use in hospitals and newborn photographers use to be able to master how a newborn's body works safely. So whenever you're posing, like a lot of the times you see all these pictures on Pinterest, we'll say, where the baby is like, you know, posed with their hands like this and they've got the whole like this pose going on type of deal.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, you see it. And they make it look so easy because you see it all the time. But we as photographers, this is two completely different pictures that we chop in half and stick it together in Photoshop to make it look like a baby is doing this whole little cute pose that you see online. This particular pose is not something that they accomplish themselves. So this is the one that you see all the time, I feel like. And they're on a beanbag and they're like this and they're not assisted looking wise in the final picture, but the parent is holding their head for one picture, then switches over and we take another picture and holding underneath here. And then we chop it in half in the computer and stick it back together. So they look like they're doing it themselves, but it's a full-on illusion. And I think that's something that's important for parents to understand, that studio photography or photography in general is an illusion because of the digital imaging that we can do these days. So even when you see the babies posed like this and they're in a cute little box or something, that too is a composite that we put together in the actual computer because their head and neck always has to be held onto for safety. So don't ever attempt anything like that yourself without any formal training. This is something that really only a trained professional should be able to do. The wrapped pictures are what you can definitely do, even if you have an older sibling that's going to be in the pictures, or you want to get like a picture of your husband holding the baby or anything like that. It's going to be the safest way to still get like really great shots because I mean, when babies are wrapped up, they look like little, like potato sacks, I call them. They're all scrunched up. They're tiny in their parents' hands, and you can do some really great stuff. And you don't have to worry about the startle reflex. You don't have to worry about the baby waking up because a lot of the times you'll wrap the baby first, then feed the baby, and they're out like lights. So that's a great safety piece to be able to.
Oh my gosh, my mind is still blown about the like digital imagery. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Another way that social media is not, it's not real.
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
real. Okay, that is so helpful. Okay, this is all great. Okay.
So I'm going to show a couple of posing tips that anybody can do in their house. So even though I'm obviously here in my professional photography studio, the things that I'm going to show you are going to be things that you can absolutely accomplish with anything that you have laying around your house.
Okay.
So I'm going to move this a little bit closer so that hopefully you guys can see the way that I wrap the baby.
Now, weather-wise or light, or are you? Is there like a perfect time of day to do this?
Yeah, so you really do want to try and accomplish it when your home has the brightest natural light. You can do the pictures by a window, or if you have like a glass sliding door, that's a great one. Anything that has just a big light source is going to be great for you.
So if the sliding door was in front of me, the camera would be at the sliding door, and then I'm over here, obviously, right?
So the biggest thing to remember whenever you're doing anything lighting wise is you want to think about the light source always being the sun, right? So if you have the baby, so I'll actually be able to show you really quick from here. So I've got a light behind my camera right here so that I can be lit up. So I'm going to use this as if it was the sun. So if I'm posing, so say that this over here was my slider door or a window. And it's shining this way. And I'm then putting the baby in front of it like this. Notice how the light looks like it's shining up their face, right?
Yes.
The sun would never shine up your face because it's never below you, right? Unless somebody's flipping you upside down crazy and you're doing some acrobatics, then maybe. But usually the sun is always coming from above your head down. So you want to have the light source either from the side so that you've got highlights on one side and shadows on the other, or coming down from the top of your head so that you end up having, see the shadow underneath your nose right there?
Yes.
That's going to be the way that sun would naturally be shining down on you. You never want to have light going up this way because it's not natural. You always want it either going down or from the side. So just think of it like that when you're posing.
Okay, that totally makes sense.
Otherwise, it's just not going to look like reality because you never have the sun like lower than you.
Right.
So I'm just going to put down, this is just a regular fleece blanket I have that I'm going to put over this so that the fabric, my Velcro, doesn't stick to my nice stuff here.
Okay.
So the Swaddle Pro, it's actually made out of athletic wear fabric so that it's breathable. You don't have to worry about the baby overheating in it. It's really soft and stretchy. So you can cross their legs the same way that they would have been in your belly, just like that. Tuck their legs then into the swaddle. And then just take the Velcro, wrap it around, and stick it right to the back.
Okay.
Good for me.
So now for people who are like, oh my gosh, I have a 2-week-old, I'm going to like attempt this today. They would swaddle their baby in like a blanket or something. Like
if they're really good at accomplishing a tight swaddle, because I know a lot of the times when you have like a regular receiving blanket, it doesn't have that stretch to it. It doesn't have the Velcro to it. But if you can master it, by all means, give it a shot.
Right. Okay.
So, so this is the way that they end up looking in the Swaddle Pro. So now let me take this ugly fabric off. All you need is a sweeping piece of fabric. You could use a blanket from your house. If you went to somewhere like Joann Fabric, you can get a million different options. Many times what I use is a simple blanket. And I just swoop it so it's got kind of a scoop to it, I would say. And then you can do this on either your bed and connect the back to your headboard, or even if you have like an ottoman in your couch, I have a beanbag that's underneath here, but you can use an ottoman the same exact way.
Okay.
Just connect your fabric so that it swoops up in the back, and it will just give you a nice kind of like backdrop and something to go under the baby. So I went to Joann Fabric and I just got this stretchy piece of fabric. It's nothing crazy. There's no texture on it. It just happened to be something that matched this fabric here. And this is what I'm going to use to wrap over the Swaddle Pro to be able to do some of the fun, prettier things that you would then take the picture of. So the Swaddle Pro basically just keeps them asleep while you change out all the different wraps that you can put over them so that they don't wake up each time. So I'm going to do a super quick little wrap technique that I take their toes out for. And this little hole that's in the Swaddle Pro allows you to be able to get their toes. Get this a little toe up. And so you take out just the tip of their toes. Their heels stay in because babies like to kick. And so if the heels stay in, they won't just then escape out of it. And this particular one, there's really, like, you can do anything. There's no rhyme or reason, or like, you know, you can wrap the baby however you want, and these pictures will come out great. So I just want to be able to see their toes. So I am going around their toes like this. I'm going to make a little knot to keep it where I want it to be. I'm going to get their toes back out a bit. And then all I do is just take the fabric from one side, wrap it around this way, and pull it back over. You want to always just make sure that you're holding their neck when you're lifting the baby, making sure that they have that neck and head control fine. Grab it from the other side, wrap it over, back around, and then you can tie a cute little knot right there. And there you've got a super cute little knot right there.
So cute. Okay, yeah, no
So it's
kidding.
a really cute and easy way.
With a piece of fabric.
Just a loose piece of fabric. That's it.
Okay.
Yep. So at this point, all you have to do is just lay the baby down on the fabric, right? So you can either just lay them flat and photograph straight down. You can turn them on their side and be able to photograph them from this way, swooping up. If you have like a little rolled up, so this is a little matching pillow to this fabric here, but you can literally just roll up a receiving blanket that matches and put it under their head. And it's just a really great way to be able to still safely capture pictures yourself with what you have 90% around the house already. So that's a really easy way. So this is something if you just had a bed, if you weren't using a prop or anything like that.
Okay.
If you wanted to do something with a prop, I always recommend keeping the baby on their back, because anytime you start flipping them over on their stomach, you're then doing something where you need more of that Photoshop skills to be able to perfect.
Okay.
So I'll show you one other really easy prop to be able to use that you can get anywhere from like Marshall's, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, any of those type of places.
Gosh, I love
just
this.
like a regular scarf.
Okay, so as you're getting that, is there, like, does it matter if you take them landscape or
Not at all.
portrait? No,
Nope.
doesn't
You
matter. Do whatever works.
You want to think about where in your home you would actually be putting these pictures, and just flip your camera to be able to fit that space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what I have next, this is a little trough, wooden trough.
That you would put in like on your dining room table or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can get this anywhere. I feel like these are super popular these days with all the farmhouse type of style and whatnot. And then this is just an actual like scarf, a regular scarf that I had laying around that I loved the texture of. So you want to be able to pose these on the floor nice and safely.
Right.
So
there's nothing to fall off of.
Exactly. So you just take your floor, you take the fabric, and my style is I like messy. I don't want anything to be too perfect, so I like to just literally throw it on the ground and scrunch it up. So I just stick it on the floor right on top of the scarf so that it has a pretty kind of texture and flowing look around it.
Okay.
Take the baby right on their back. I would use, again, something that you can make into a pillowy, soft thing for their neck. You can literally roll up a receiving blanket.
Okay.
Stick it right there, put them in, and then you have an adorable picture like that. And so it's a really, really, really easy way to be able to capture some really cute stuff without having to, you know, go out of your house if you're not comfortable, without having to worry about being exposed to different germs or whatnot. But, you know, obviously not having to lose out on your memories at the same time.
So now I have an app on my phone that I use to like lighten pictures. Is there anything that you recommend where, like the one I use is Pick Tap Go? I don't know. I bought it for $2.99 like 5 years ago. So
there's two that I use. One of them actually is just the filters that come with the phone. Believe it or not. Yeah, with the iPhone. So believe it or not, they have some great filters that you can really get in and fine tune. But the other one that's more on the professional end of it is called Lightroom. And that's a great editing app.
Wait, what is it?
Lightroom. So it's by
Lightroom.
Adobe.
Okay.
It's the same company that makes Photoshop. And they have an app that you can do edits, and you can actually get presets online to be able to do all kinds of fun, creative things.
Oh my gosh, these tips are amazing. So can you tell us a little bit just about if people wanted to find you online?
Swaddle Pro is going to be the best place to be able to get your hands on the Swaddle Pro and learn more about just kind of more detailed with lighting and safety and all kinds of different aspects for posing. I have a mini course on there that will be able to help you pose with siblings, or to be able to kind of do things that we weren't able to go over in our video today. So theswaddlepro.com is where you can find all of that.
Michelle, thank you so much. This has been so fun, and I feel like I learned so much.
Good. I hope that everybody gets some tips from this, knows that they can absolutely do it themselves. It doesn't have to be professional. It's just more about capturing a time in your life that you're not going to get back.
Right. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.